Oh, just a second.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the FPL Banger Show. My name is Siva. I'm joined by Sam. Game week 26, Sam. We are recording before Liverpool smash Aston Villa 6-0. How are you feeling as a Unai Emery owner?
I'm feeling very confident, Siva.
Couldn't even beat Ipswich with 10
Yeah, but
men.
they didn't lose. Yeah. I mean, this could age very badly or very well because by the time this episode is out, you will know the results. But I'm feeling a draw. That's what I'm feeling.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I will say that Marcus Rashford looked really good. It's amazing how Man United players look really good if they're not playing for Man United.
Have you seen Anthony?
I have seen
Like three man of the
man of
match
the
in a
match.
row. I think he scored one amazing volley recently, so in the last weekend. So yeah. United is
Yeah.
the problem, as I've been saying for a long time, Siva. But we are not that kind of podcast. This is not, United stand.
Maybe something we should look into. I mean, Scott McTominay, apparently they're building a statue for him in Naples.
I think Scott McTominay has scored more goals than any other United player. Like, has more goals than our top scorer. So yeah,
Well. So speaking of institutions that are falling apart and this game of FPL, right? I mean, we still got assistant manager active, and if you're not playing assistant manager this week, you can probably skip this section. But I thought it's relevant to most of us who have the chip active, Sam. This
yeah,
is the final week for most of us who activated in 24. And so the big debate I see online is you don't need to move the chip around. Just you're wasting a transfer because we've got blank game week 29. We know the fixtures for that now. And so I see a lot of people just saying, I'll stick with whoever I have. It's okay. This is a bad week anyway. People have Arne Slot, want to stick with Arne Slot. People have Unai Emery feel lazy to use a transfer. But to me, Sam, that just feels like this may be the last time we ever have this chip. Because let's be real, all the big accounts don't seem to like this chip. I think you and I we have we're ambivalent. We just want points. Uh,
yeah. I'm okay with FPL attempting to keep things fresh. I'm happy with that. Happier than if they just kept the same thing year in year out. So I'm okay to experiment with this assistant manager chip.
yeah. So with that in mind, I mean, I feel like you and I we're not gonna leave the chip. You've got Unai Emery for those who don't know, and I've got Arne Slot. I take it we're not leaving the chip on them going into game week 26, right? We're gonna use the transfer.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the risk of you, even if you take a -4, the risk of you actually having minus points is quite low, I would say.
Mhm.
I mean, I would just risk it. I'll take a -4, move Unai Emery out. Despite the draw against Ipswich, he still has 4 points, so it's been net. Okay, let's not talk about how many points Moyes scored if I if I left it on him. But on its own, in a vacuum, yeah, it's worth the risk, I think.
Yeah, but speaking of Moyes, right? Because obviously Everton beat Palace. That takes us to sort of the managers who we'll be looking at this week, and for that, I've got this graphic on the screen now. This is from Rob TFPL. Who, if you follow FPL Twitter, you'll see this guy. He always posts all these probabilities. Um, so this is expected points for managers for this week. You have Arteta at the top, 8.4. They play West Ham at home. Oliver Glasner just behind him, play Fulham away. Van Nistelrooy at home to Brentford. Kieran McKenna, Ipswich against Spurs at home. And then the rest are non-table bonus fixtures except for Vito Pereira, Wolves, away at Bournemouth. Of course, we are recording before Villa play Liverpool. If Villa beat Liverpool, Oliver Glasner loses the table bonus. So let's go on the hypothetical that Villa won't beat Liverpool at the risk of tempting fate here. I'm very tempted by Oliver Glasner. I think the Palace losing to Everton thing. I saw the game. I've looked at the stats. Palace had more XG than Everton, hit the bar, had a disallowed goal. It feels to me like even Everton fans say they were quite fortunate to get away with the win. And I think Palace against Fulham, yeah, it's away, but it's London, right? It's down the road for them. This feels like a winnable fixture. What do you think?
I think so too. If you're chasing table bonus, and if it does happen, then yeah, they look like the best bet. I mean, Fulham have actually been pretty bad at home. I know I'm saying this right after they beat Forest 2-1, but before that, their last home games were 1-0 loss against United. Then they drew with Ipswich and Bournemouth. They drew with Southampton, drew with Arsenal. Not many wins, more losses and draws. So, and Palace are coming in to this with good form. Like you said, maybe a bit unlucky to lose to Everton, chalk them out to Moyes magic. But yeah, didn't realize that it kind of rhymes. Moyes magic, magic Moyes.
Yeah,
But
the
yeah,
Messiah. Yeah,
Palace. I'm down with that. I think if you're chasing table bonus, that would probably be your best bet among all the other options. The only one that I'm maybe considering is Wolves, Vita Pereira, who play away against Bournemouth. Bournemouth in really good form, but I think Wolves are better than where they are at the table. And they have it in them, I think, to sneak a result against pretty much most teams. I am tempted. I am tempted by Wolves.
yeah. It just feels like maybe it's recency bias, right? But of course, the table also doesn't lie. Bournemouth and Wolves, there's a much bigger gap than versus Palace and Fulham. And I think as much as Fulham have been impressive in recent weeks, they're they have sketchy home form, especially against the bottom teams. They can drop points. They lost to Man United. I mean, if you can lose to Man United, you can lose to anyone at home. Um,
Speaking of
and
that, I think Everton will actually beat United, but they don't get table bonus because yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean it's quite sad, but that's where we are with United. But moving past the United bashing, right? The other table bonus options, because I'll come to Arteta in a sec, right? Uh, the only one that kind of excites me, I've gone off the Ruud van Nistelrooy idea. It was something I thought about when we first saw this fixture list, um, but Leicester have just continued to be bad, and they were. I'm not going to say they were unlucky against Arsenal. They put up a good fight, but in the end, you just keep pushing and pushing, and this team like just falls apart. So I'm not feeling it, even though it's Friday night under the lights. Jamie Vardy, you never know at the King Power. Are you not slightly interested? Ruud van Nistelrooy feels like a very Sam kind of move, no?
No, because Leicester don't look like they have it in them to even cause an upset, right? Like, doesn't matter who they're playing against, doesn't matter the narrative. They just, I mean, they've been really, really bad. Let me look at the past few games.
I mean,
Lost against Arsenal,
look at the whole season.
excusable. Lost against Everton, 4-0. Beat Spurs, lost Fulham, lost Palace, lost Villa, lost City, lost Liverpool, lost Wolves, lost Newcastle. No, the only team they've won against is Spurs, which brings me to Ipswich. Kieran
Smooth.
McKenna, MU alumni, who play against Spurs, and I think Ipswich they kind of have it in them to sneak an upset. Yes, I know they lost against Southampton, but here and there, they drew against Villa, they beat Chelsea, they beat Wolves, they beat Spurs, drew against United. So the results are few and far between, but they do kind of have it in them to cause an upset. And I think the vibes, the banter, the whole expected, I don't know what you want to call it, expected bragging that you can do on Twitter if you don't move to Kieran McKenna is off the charts. So it is very tempting. A very tempting Sam move, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about Kieran McKenna is he's at home, right? And so if that fits into your sort of narrative. The home upset is on the cards. The only issue is Ipswich have won once at home all season. And we're quite deep into the season, so that's a bit of a troubling statistic. And also, I mean, United made Spurs look good, right? But Spurs, they've spent some money. They bought a couple of people. They have Kevin Danso. They got a decent
There's people
keeper.
coming back. I think that's the key point for Spurs. So things could start changing for them.
Yeah, Madison's fueled by his Roy Keane hatred to try and score every week now. I mean, yeah, so I still come back to Glasner because I just feel like my first instinct was when I looked at that fixture, Fulham Palace. Now that looks like a proper 50-50. I think here's the probably the bigger debate, right? And this is I got to think hinge on what kind of manager you are. We've got this graphic here. This is from Guy McComb of Blue Sky, and I really like this graphic because it looks really smart. Once you start looking into it, it's a bit scary. But this is the probability distribution of points between Glasner against Arteta. And so if you look at the chart, what you'll see is that Glasner has the highest ceiling because he can get the table bonus. Ceiling is about 21 points, which isn't unrealistic. Fabian Hertzler got 21 points for beating Chelsea last week. Arteta has a much lower ceiling, but it's much more consistent. So Arteta's ceiling is probably around 12 points, but he gets there's a high chance that he will get it. I did dip into a bit of FPL content, which I always am wary of doing. And from what I get, a lot of the, shall we say, more mainstream managers are thinking of just going Arteta because Arsenal against West Ham feels like an easy win. It's Arsenal at home. West Ham have been poor. They're 16th. I'm an Arsenal fan, so I wonder if once again I'm acting against my own bias here, but that just doesn't appeal to me, especially when I've done 2 weeks of Arne Slot. So am I being risky because I've done the boring stuff?
I am not a fan of going for Arteta. I mean, you watched the Arsenal game in the weekend, right?
Yeah.
They basically have one player doing stuff, which is kind of like MU and Ahmad Diallo. Like you have Ethan Waneri, and
Yeah.
that's pretty much the only attacker who was actually doing things. So if they don't look that good to me, I don't have that much confidence in Arsenal.
I disagree, mate. Raheem Sterling was on the pitch actively destroying all of his legacy and my childhood memories. Um, Seeing the man who sort of, came close to a Premier League title with Sturridge and Suarez, and now he looks finished, and he's not even 30 years old, man.
Yeah. Bottom line is that I'm not a fan of this Arteta move. I think if you're gonna play it safe, there are other. Might as well stick it with Slot, I think.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I'm with you, right? If you've got Arne Slot, so I have Arne Slot. If that was the choice, I would just stick it, but I still won't because I don't like the Liverpool City matchup. It's too 50-50 for me. City starting to improve. They got their own Egyptian guy. He's younger. He's got more hair. He's already getting hat tricks. So
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I get the risk of going Oliver Glasner. So it's easy to be sort of to skate over the risk here. He could get a 0-pointer. Now that's a really high chance he gets a 0-pointer. Arteta is very unlikely to get 0 points. You do not see Arsenal losing. They maybe draw. It's I mean the chances of West Ham doing anything. I just feel like you've got to chase the ceiling. It's the last week for most of us with this chip, and if you're not going to chase the ceiling with Palace v Fulham, then what exactly? I mean, how much better a fixture will you get? This is like Fulham v Forest was a really decent fixture for those who went for it. And we said that a few weeks ago, and if you did, you got 18 points. This feels like one of those fixtures.
I didn't realize, but I just looking at Arsenal's past few fixtures, their last loss was in game week 10. And they've actually only lost twice this season. Game week 10 against Newcastle and game week 8 against Bournemouth. Everything else has been draws and wins. Lots of draws, but I guess it is safe. But if you're gonna take a -4 for a manager, I wouldn't go safe. I would go big. There's some kind of fallacy in play here, I'm sure. But That's my thinking.
I just feel in a double game week, I think it was more acceptable to go for the low ceiling, high floor manager because, like Arne Slot, 2 games, you expect 10 points. Fair enough. But I think in a single week, I don't think Arsenal via West Ham is like a guarantee, but you expect 10 points for Arteta. I feel like you go chase the ceiling, and worst case scenario, you're missing out on 10 points. Best case, you get 20. I mean, I think it's worth it. Hit or no hit.
Plus,
I'm doing it for free. But yeah.
plus, it is your last week with an AM chip. Go big, man. It's go big before you go home.
Yeah, but we may never see this chip again, right? You know, it's like the all-out attack chip. It may come and go, and in 20 years' time, when you're talking to your kids about the FPL season of 24 and 25, do you want to tell them I used it and got 25 points in my last week, or I used it and I got 6 points, and because I was boring and I didn't want to try, and mind you, right? Graham Potter's first match at the Emirates Stadium, he won 2-1 against Arsene Wenger. He was managing Ostersons. Okay.
Mm, okay.
Mm.
Narrative
History
there.
lesson for you. Yeah. Graham Potter, he knows the stadium and how quiet and expensive the tickets are and lack of atmosphere and so on. I can say this, I'm an Arsenal fan. This stadium is a really bad stadium. So yeah. And a lot of people will read a lot into the Leicester result, and Mikel Merino is going to be our new Marouane Fellaini because he came on and scored 2 goals. But let's be
Mm,
real, right? Leicester didn't mark him. It's
yeah.
it's
And he
one
himself
off.
said he
You never
probably
know.
would not be starting in up top anymore. I mean, that's what he says. He's not a manager though. So
To be fair, I mean, the fact is, he said he hadn't trained it. They had something they practiced. They just sort of they were desperate. They went for it, and so
shades
that
of throwing Chris Smalling up top. Or the all United fans will remember this.
yeah, or Mike Smalling as more commonly
Yeah,
known.
yeah.
Yes, very deep cut. But yeah, so I mean, okay, yes, it worked out great, and I still expect Arsenal to win, but it's not like as if there are guarantees on that. And Arsenal with front line that's still sort of figuring itself out versus Palace got all their players back. Eze came on, Wharton came on. I expect Eze and Wharton to start this week.
Mm.
It just feels like this is not a guarantee, but if you're chasing table bonus, it's never going to be a guarantee. You go in because you think there's a chance.
Yep. I agree. I think if the table bonus does happen for them, then Glasner would be the most has the highest chance of points among all the managers who have table bonus. Yeah. Best pick
So
among
let's
not a very good bunch.
Yeah, but just to make sure this video isn't completely useless in the next 12 hours, let's assume Villa somehow upset Liverpool. Uh, what's your backup? Is it McKenna or Pereira? Wolves or
It will be
Ipswich?
one of the two. I have not decided yet. I think I think I'll go McKenna. Just
Hmm.
Spurs is a joke club. Joke results happen for joke clubs.
I mean, in that scenario, I'd be okay to gamble on McKenna. I think that'll be fun. At home, they've already beaten them once. But you're not wrong. Vitor Pereira's pretty close. I mean, that's a much more 50-50 call. Okay, so enough of assistant manager chat. For those people who have more than one transfer or feel like taking hits, you never know. Um, let's talk Marmoush. Excited?
I kinda am, and slightly annoyed because I actually marked Mamouche out before this game week. Uh, because I realized he started 2 games in a row. I was like, City forward, 7 mil, starts few weeks in a row, sounds good. Then he scores a hat trick, and now everyone's looking at him. Although I will say that just because he has started 3 games in a row, just because he scored a hat trick, does not guarantee his minutes. Um, if there's one thing we've learned about Pep throughout the years is that your performance last week does not guarantee anything at all.
I mean, but even Pep would have to be. I mean, I know he's going through some tough times at home and all that, but even Pep's not going to be that heartless to just kick Marmoush to the curb after a hat trick performance on the basis that
Now,
what
about
he didn't score in the last 60 minutes of the game or something.
not this week, but next week. If we are going for Mamush, it is probably because we want someone who plays in 29. right? Am I right?
Yeah.
City does not blank. But who knows what happens in this next 3 weeks before game week 29? Yeah, he could
I guess
suddenly
that's
dropped to the bench.
I guess that's the question. So what's your entry point for Marmoush? I presume you are not spending a transfer to go this week
I've
against
decided
Liverpool.
that I will not buy a City player for the rest of the season. So I'm not going Mamush.
Okay, so for
And I
okay, that's
feel there
fine,
are other
Sam.
forwards who are better.
Okay. Before we go to the other forwards, I think for human beings, for regular people, so not i.e. not Sam, right? I think Marmoush's entry point is next week against Spurs. Okay, that's the first point I'll make. Especially given that City play UCL tonight. Uh, Again, we're
Mm.
recording before that, so a bit tired, and then you get the Liverpool game. So I think no rush. I wouldn't ever want to rush to buy an attacker against Liverpool. Against Spurs, sure, and against Forest, yeah, I don't mind. Um, that's me on Marmoush, and I like the fact that he kind of, you're gonna hate this, he covers City attack, but at a much lower price. Uh, it looks
No,
like Haaland's sort of playing the Heskey role, which I like.
I agree with coverage. By the way, Siva,
Mm.
I support coverage. I'm a fan of that theory, the whole fallacy of coverage.
So that's Marmoush. But speaking of, since you mentioned strikers that you want from other teams, right? I think I kind of have an idea of who you're looking at, and he's going to be a striker who you can't cover with anybody else because he's just that good. I'm assuming you're talking about the man who breaks glasses and causes problems. It's Matis Cunha, no?
Yeah, big fan of Matheus Cunha. Had him last season, did well for me. Had him earlier this season, did really well. Then he got injured. Everyone sold him, and now he's coming back into form. Back-to-back goals against Villa and Liverpool, and I think he has great fixtures right to the end of the season. Yes, they play Bournemouth away this week. Maybe a bit tough on paper, but you could see them sneaking a goal. Then it's Fulham, Everton, Southampton, West Ham, Ipswich, Spurs, United, Leicester, City, Brighton, Palace, Brentford. You can realistically just leave him in your team for the rest of the season. And that's a striker slot done. 6.8, so still cheaper than Mamouche. So he'll be my pick.
Yeah, I really like Cunha. I think the game week 29 fixture is better than Marmoush's, right? I think Wolves at Southampton looks really good, and
Yeah,
I think
captain
Cunha,
team.
hey, you're not far off the mark. Yeah, it could be captaincy material. And the next few fixtures are fine, not spectacular, but they're the kind that if Wolves are going to score a goal, you expect it's going to be Cunha. He's signed the new contract, so he's happy there. He's done the suspension, so he broke the guy's glasses. He's back for that. Um, he can, so I think you can sort of see a clear pathway for Cunha now to sort of get some returns. And yeah, Wolves look good against Liverpool. I mean, I was quite relieved to get away with an honest lot win. Um, so yeah, I like Cunha, and I suppose if you had to make a forward transfer this week, a lot of people, for some reason, still own João Pedro. Cunha is a very easy replacement.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. A lot of people still don't own Wood, so I don't know what's up with that. But
Can't help
if you
them,
don't
man.
own Wood, it looks on paper like this is not the time to get Wood because he's going to play Newcastle, Arsenal, City next. But come on, I think if you don't own Wood, you need to fix that as soon as possible. Man has blanked like once in the past 7 weeks.
He
What
had
about
one
Beethoven's?
shot against
Yeah, one
Fulham,
shot. That's all
Chris
he
Wood.
needs. And this is a recurring theme, you see. If it happened just once, outlier. Okay, I accept it. It happens so many times this season. How many times are you gonna say that, he can't keep this up with only one shot? He has been keeping it up almost the entire season. So
Yeah. But even as a Chris Wood owner, I wouldn't suggest that this is the week to go and buy Chris Wood. I think this is the week for
cue
you.
a Chris Wood hat-trick, Siva.
I mean, for me, the way I feel about it is this is the week for, if you don't own Chris Wood, it's the week for you to just accept the fact that we, Sam and me, will get more points than you, and that's okay. Um, should have jumped on earlier, but we can't help you. Um, I did listen to an interview that day with Chris Wood's uh, wife and soon to be mother of his child. She's expecting. I've clearly got a lot of free time, right? So she, she was being interviewed by one of these psychiatric podcasts, and they were hosted by some footballer. I can't remember. Kevin Long, Kevin Long's wife. So for those who, yeah, Burnley 4.0 defender.
Mm.
So Mrs. Long has a podcast where she interviews. Basically, it seems like all the Burnley wives
Right.
she interviewed. Yeah, all the Burnley wags. Samantha Tarkowski was like her first guest, and then she got Mrs. Chris Wood. And so Chris Wood shows up towards the end of this interview, which is kind of why I tuned in. And something interesting Chris Wood said. He said he's never satisfied with just scoring a goal. He's not that keen on, he likes his teammates, but he wants to score as many goals as he can. And one thing his wife said was he's never satisfied. Like he just keeps wanting to score more goals. And then when he gets to the end of the season, he's like, okay, now next season. So apparently he's just so invested in football, and this baby is not due for a few months. So I feel like we're both parents, Sam. I feel like Chris Wood is just like, I need to keep doing this while I can, because once this kid comes, I ain't ever sleeping or ever
Yeah.
getting back to that form again.
I mean, look at Phil Foden. I think he's gonna get his fourth child now. Perhaps there is a reason, a correlation to his drop off in form.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it just makes sense, man. Justin Kluivert did only an assist, after although very impressive,
Oh,
delivering a baby and 2 days later. I mean, Roy Keane would be proud.
yep.
Beto, you wanted to say Beto? Let's talk
Yeah,
Beto.
talk to me about Beto.
I said a few weeks ago, this is a joke pick. He's only scored 4 goals in 40 games. So in about 4 games, he scored another 4 goals and has doubled his Everton total. So I take back everything I said. He looks amazing. Get him now.
Yeah. Still cheap though, 4.9. But realistically, he has only 4 good fixtures before it turns. Like really turns. Liverpool, Arsenal, Forest, City, Chelsea. If you picked him in the double game week, congratulations. Keep him in for a couple of weeks, but don't get him now. Do you know what I just realized, Siva? Moving to the
Yeah.
other spectrum from very cheap to very expensive, Haaland has actually been doing pretty good this past few weeks. It's weird to say that's under the radar, but I don't see anyone talking about Haaland. He has not blanked in the past. Oh, he's blanked once in the past 8 weeks.
I mean, yeah, he's not doing too badly. I mean, even though you could debate his value for money, but he's doing much more than Cole Palmer, and Cole Palmer isn't that cheap.
Yeah. So could be an option if you can move your funds around for 29. If you can somehow restructure your team to include it, could be, weirdly enough, a big differential.
Yeah, could be game week 29 time for Haaland. And to your point about Beto, I know you said fixtures long term aren't good, but Sam, you probably don't know this, but the general chip strategy that people are talking about online is to wildcard in either 30 or 31,
That is true.
because there's a 32 double game week where those of us who still haven't used triple captain will probably go Isaac for a Newcastle double. And then in 33, there's expected to be a big double with a blank in 34. So a lot of people saying wildcard 31, triple captain 32, bench boost 33, free hit 34. And so when you look at that, then suddenly Beto looks like a great pick, because it is just these 4 fixtures. And the first fixture coming up this week is a guaranteed win. And the ones after that, not too bad either.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So for those of you who have not planned that far, like me, it is something to think about, your wildcard strategy.
Yeah. I'm considering Isaac to Beto.
Okay, Siva. All right.
What's not to like about it? I mean, Isaac's got 2 difficult fixtures and a blank. I save, so much money by going to Beto. And it's at home against United. I mean, surely Everton win this. It's just a question of how much.
That's true. I will not be surprised if Everton smash United.
The narrative writes itself, right? David Moyes back at Goodison against the team that didn't appreciate him. against a manager with a worse record than David Moyes at United.
Yeah. The only thing missing would be an ex-United player in Everton. That would
Ashley Young.
e- okay. A United player who was not appreciated. Actually, Young was well appreciated in United. But if Young scores the winning goal, wow. Oh, we do have actually. There's James Garner, ex-United youth product.
Michael Keane got to come in for that late
Yeah,
winner.
yeah. Imagine it. Like, uh, James Garner cross or Young cross into James Garner that goes to Michael Keane and then he scores or something like that. I can already see it.
Yeah, runs towards the Gladys and kisses the badge. I mean, this is all happening. Amorim comes out, blames Rashford for not tracking back. Uh,
He was unexistent, in this match. Non-existent in this
Thoroughly
match.
anonymous. Yeah, couldn't see him. Yeah, I generally think Beto. I mean, right? Real talk, right? Next four fixtures, Beto has United, Brentford, Wolves, West Ham.
Good
I
fixtures.
mean, that's probably even better than Cunha's fixtures.
I don't know about that, but good fixtures and way cheaper. So if you're stuck for money,
Yeah, if
I
you're
don't
trying to
mind
get
that.
Haaland in 29.
Yeah, it's probably the best striker you can get below 6 mil probably.
Mm, okay. Uh, Spoken more on this topic than I thought we would. Uh, Midfielders, I mean, just buy a Bournemouth midfielder. You know, if you have one, and if you don't have one, you have one already, get another one. I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. Fair enough. Great fixtures coming up, so you can pick any one of them. They all kind of do well, except Semenyo, who tends to do the least among all the midfielders. Yeah, that's the most on
Yeah, you just
paper.
say,
That gets the least points.
you're just saying that because you own him. But yeah, I mean, I think Dango, Clivert, Semenyo have all returned well enough. You just take whoever you can get.
Yeah, Waneri
Um,
nailed for now, and
for
is
now,
basically stuck in the attack. Like everything's going through him. 4.5, decent punt, I would
yeah,
say.
it's an okay punt. It's not bad. I I don't think our fixtures long term are that good. Forest and Chelsea, of course, questionable form. And I just like you want to see this. Let them figure it out over a few weeks. But yeah, he's fine. If you need the money at his price, he's the best pick by far. It's just that still want to see how we figure this out long term. Feels like we got a bit lucky against Leicester.
All right, fair enough.
Okay.
Defenders. We need to talk about defenders. None of them are doing well again. We are back towards no
They
defenders are good anymore.
they all suck. I mean, if you've got Robinson, you keep Robinson. If you have Trent, I mean, I got away with one this week. Came off like seconds before the goal was scored. Yeah, they all
Yeah,
suck, man.
yeah. I think you just keep whoever you have. Like, don't bother making a defensive transfer. Whoever you have, just keep them in your team. Spend your transfers on midfields and forwards.
That's the kind of content I come here for. Let's talk captaincy. Okay, and for captaincy, don't need data because this feels like a vibes week. That's why I just got the fixtures up on screen. We're not capping Salah, surely, right?
Yeah, although the chances of him returning is quite high away. His away form. Much has been said about his away form, and City leaky. Although I would say, and I feel it coming. Do you know every season that there's a turning point in City season where they decide, like, you know what, guys, let's just stop losing, and then they're going to win every single game. Usually happens around January or February. Feels like this is the time. Um, Clicking again, finally got Nico Gonzalez to fill that hole in the midfield, made some defensive signings, patched things up, some forward signings. This could be
Okay.
the time.
So, I mean, by that definition, what you want to captain a City player?
No, I don't have a City player.
Yeah.
It's a bit tough this week because none of them really have great fixtures this week.
I mean, there's one candidate who's screaming to me, and I'm surprised he's not already said it. It's got to be Brian Mbeumo.
Oh, I missed that. I was looking at it and I didn't realize. Yeah, Mbeumo, although Brentford away home form, much also has been said about that. But yeah, Leicester is kind of
Nah,
bad, as we
that's just
covered earlier on in the podcast.
they just won away at the London Stadium. And that's just a fallacy. This home and away thing. Now we think about it, I think it's just that they played all the
Ev-
easy games at home.
Every theory in FPL is a fallacy, Siva. That's what I've discovered. Everything's a
It,
fallacy.
it's all lies. So yeah,
So
Brian Mbeumo, stat pads against weak teams. We know this. He's gonna get that big money move soon. Leicester, he's gonna stat pad against them.
fair. Yeah, I think Mbeumo, nice pick. I would also consider a Bournemouth player at home against Wolves. Um, just for vibes. Because Bournemouth
Yeah,
are the kind of team that can score a lot, although they didn't. I mean, yeah. Although the only problem is their points tend to be shared out, right? Like,
yeah, that's the
great
thing.
example is last week. However, a haul can still come. I don't mind a Bournemouth player. Just for vibes. I might do it.
Dango, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you
Dango,
got
whoever.
Semenyo, so you gotta go Semenyo.
I have to so
Fair
it
enough.
will be Semenyo for me. But, whoever you have, it's a possibility.
No temptation to go Isaac at home to Forest.
Oh, Forests are so tough to predict.
Hmm.
Not tough to beat anymore, but tough to predict. I don't know which match are they going to win and which match are they going to lose 5-0. Which match will they win 7-0 and which match will they lose 5-0? Too tough to predict.
Yeah, I mean, if we had enough transfers, I'd consider like Mitoma against Southampton. But even then,
If you're going to wild card soon, yeah, I'll take a punt. Just captain anyone who plays against Southampton. It generally will work out.
yeah. But I think that's why Brian Mbeumo, most of us have him. He plays in 29. He's a solid, reliable pick, and he's blanked a few times in the last few weeks. So I think he won't be that popular, which is good because you kind of want to get some differential points here. I think.
Yep. I'm down with that, Siva. In agreement with you. Let's do
All
it.
right, so
Bring the
let's do it.
vibes.
Oliver Glasner, assistant manager. Brian Mbeumo, captain.
Yeah.
Very easy. And
Vibe pick.
vibing it and Beto in as well. Okay, so that's us for this week, Sam. So we will see you for Game Week 27. But in the meantime,
Get your green arrows, guys. Have a good game week. See you next time.